There was only so much the golden torque around my neck could do to deal with the radical time shift I was moving through, and so my stay with the deep Imaskar descendants was brief. Though I packed a lot of learning into that short visit, sadly I can't remember any of it. Memory loss is built into the planar gateway that connects their deep ethereal realms from the rest of the multiverse. A foolproof protective measure. So instead, thankfully, I have the chronicles I kept of my journey into deep Imaskar. The most amazing location, aside from the chamber in which they were building artificial worlds, was the trade ports of the Molf. I have illustrations I sketched of Molf all through my journals, so I'm guessing there were long periods of time I had a stable and comfortable environment in which I could take out my marvellous pigment set and get some artwork done. I also can tell that a lot of these sketches are my copies of something I was reading. For example, I'm not in the habit of taking creatures apart and cataloguing all their bits, but I love the studies of those who do that sort of thing. The Molf met a lot of them, the Illithid being one species commonly known for that sort of thing. The Molf were not shocked that I'd heard of the Mind Flayers, though they call them all sorts of different names depending on which dimension they come from. The Molf call this their iteration. They talk about a creature with more categories than humanoids are used to, so if you're not just a human, you are from a specific time and place, a specific dimension, which is related to a set of others. So they know how to get to a moment in your grandfather's life, just like you would know how to deliver a courier package to someone from your day-to-day life. So Molf also don't consider a demiplane located inside another demiplane to be much different from traveling from one room to another. However, the planar nexus is a whole other level of planar technology. I was simply not prepared for the fact that the Molf came from infinite worlds, creating infinite numbers of infinitely expanded planes, and within those, they control everything, more or less, in the grand overview of the multiverse. The Molf are more commonly known and encountered by other species than any other humanoids. They are basically the standard race encountered in artificial realities within the multiverse. It turns out this news bothered me, but I can't say why. It felt a bit petty of me. But hey, it is what it is. Nobody likes being knocked down another rung on the ladder of cosmic importance. As we reached the planar nexus, I was patiently and painstakingly instructed to keep looking up at this infinitely long central beam of sunlight that we arrived at the side of, entering what I was told was a massive planet-sized tube from what appeared to be a portal in the ground from the perspective of those inside the nexus. I didn't feel any particular pull of gravity looking up from the other side of the tube. It was too far away for the eye to see, by far. So looking up, it felt like a star was stretched out infinitely in two directions. But it did help distract me from the warped perspective of the planar tunnel. As we orbited around the central sunbeam like a corkscrew, the land below shifted and changed. I chewed on some fresh ginger root to settle my stomach because this made me feel a weird kind of seasick. Then my brain kept trying to make sense of what we were passing through. I can't really tell you how I knew the ground was orbiting in a spiral around that central star beam, but I could. And to better explain how it works, I have a couple of crude illustrations. First is the motion of the planet around its star through space. Now imagine peeling that world so only the surface is facing the star, as it's shown. Now we fill in the gaps. This is the motion of the surface and the direction of time travels. So if you go this way, you go forward in time. If you reverse direction, you travel backward in time. Each layer we traveled into was not just a new demiplane, it was also a different era, thousands of years in the future, with the passage of time accelerated up each step. I paused here as we stopped to get something to eat at a crystalline cathedral of some kind, which served up all sorts of fresh prepared fish, crab, shrimp, rice, greens, and delicious pickles, cleverly prepared to be eaten on the go. Anyway, we perched on a gently curved crystal outcrop overlooking a staggering waterfall crisscrossed with rainbows from the strange starlight strip overhead. But as peaceful and eternal as this all seemed, I did not want to stay. I had to make it home again, and I was very concerned with the passage of time back at Candlekeep. I was probably more than torn on the issue at the time. I mean, to explore into eternal future by transporting advanced magic back along the past nexus to a past version of myself? I wondered if those things were possible, but I never had the time to find out. Talking about such things with my Imaskar friends was difficult as we still had a lot of language translation issues. See, the descendants of the deep Imaskar people speak an array of dialects, all derived from the original Ruashorm language of Toril. These days, you can hear the similarities with the languages spoken in Karatur, the Bright Star Lake regions, ancient Malahara and Unther, and some of the pirate dialects of the southern waters and the central area of the Sea of Fallen Stars. I asked a few questions, trying not to sound too stupid. They told me a Molf would answer my questions and gestured towards what looked like a carnival of graceful tent tops. Well, at first glance, that's what it appears. Then it looks like a really huge jellyfish body, all stretched out and decorated with very glittery things. Then it kind of resolves itself in your brain, and finally you're looking at a flattened out gateway. The strands are the edges of corridors inside the web, within which floats a gossamer floating jellyfish-like creature wafting about in near-perfect zero gravity. The Molf are interdimensional creatures that long ago left the material universe behind to dwell within the deep demiplanes of the ethereal realm. They seem like they must be related to the Flump at first glance, but the moment you see their body light up with shifting strobing glows, and then it just shifts from one position to another or skips forward a few moments in time, you quickly lose that misconception. The Molf actually come in a variety of different forms, but the overall description of floating alien jellyfish creature is pretty universal. Individual Molf may have different brain caps, different tentacle growths, different symbiotic relationships with engineered organisms and different organic enhancements. It gets far more complicated when you find out that the Molf are not one species, but a common form of transdimensional life with origins very different from our own, which almost invariably means they developed planar magic before most other species. So let's take a little journey to where a typical Molf species comes from. An example from my journal. Deep in the atmosphere of a gas giant, here the density of the environment can reach extreme levels. The translucent substance of a Molf is not gelatinous, it's as hard as diamond. The energy contained in their cells is explosively strong. They are very, very cold to the touch and feel as dangerous as unstable vibrating glass. They are very well protected by tight fields of force, which are as much a part of their body as the material you can see. Molf home environments consists of highly engineered and stable kelp forests, which also serve as mass communication networks, atmosphere and energy systems, and the Molf swim in vast drifts of super dense liquid gas, illuminated by massive crystals glowing under the pressure of harvested from the upper layers of the atmosphere, all glowing from released heat if mined from deeper towards the metallic planet core. Molf learn how to move through environments as different from each other as rock, sky, and ocean long before they become aware of anything existing outside their planet, and the vast void of space beyond is not something they are comfortable with. Molf naturally gravitate towards magic that creates demiplanes, and much like the Aboleth, their primitive city structures look like they were designed by sea monkey time lords. Bubble domes with spiral towers, clusters of connected organic chambers filled with their trinkets and collections for study. Molf have a strange view of the humanoids. They don't have much to do with them back in the prime material planes. They just don't cross paths since they don't live in very similar environments. So it's a bit of a culture shock. Left to their own devices, the bodies of the Molf, like the Teratopsis dorni jellyfish of Earth, the so-called immortal jellyfish, constantly and slowly cycle back and forth between their polyp and adult stages, still reproducing as per usual whenever they're in adult stage, but they have the amazing ability to revert back to the polyp stage anywhere in the medusa stages of development. This process is called cellular transdifferentiation, and it allows one type of cell to transform into another type of cell. With the immortal jellyfish reaching the hydroid, immature, maturing, or mature medusa stages, it can revert all the way back to polyp stage at any point and start all over again. This happens either because of trauma or because it's aging and it needs to renew itself again. They have integrated this process intimately with their culture, of course, so every now and then a Molf will simply withdraw from society and go into pulp form for some time. That is viewed among the Molf as a retreat or taking it easy for a while, a retirement, except in their case, they return from their retirement completely refreshed, their body new and young again, their mental vitality is also restored, so they are known to be quite influential in their society around this stage and also more prone to reproducing. Some Molf spend quite a long time in their polyp stage, and they are not less intelligent or active wild poles. They just enjoy different pursuits, more design, management, and research, and they tend to be less egotistical. Another interesting fact, the Molf which develop in very warm conditions tend to have less total number of tentacles than those who come from much colder places, and they don't all evolve in water. They come from gas giants. Sometimes they simply live comfortably in mixed buoyant gas layers for millions of years, developing internal chemistry of fantastic efficiency and existing only as mental projections into other demiplanes they create simply for their own eclectic games and fantasies. They mostly discover the universe outside their own gas giant via telepathy and clairvoyance in that case. This mental contact with other species leaves them much better prepared for their first encounters with, and it's my description here from the description of a humanoid from a Molf that I've written here. Hot, fragile, creepy, rocky planet creatures like humanoids with their constant chattering, sounds, and body movements that mean nothing to the Molf. A Molf finds smiles from humanoids to be mildly unsettling displays of their vestigial fangs. They don't find it charming at all. Others think it's hilarious and love to watch humanoids do it, so they will crack jokes with humanoids just to see them going into their odd little lung spasms and fang displays, striking things with their flat hand claws with their spidery finger digits. Molf can see right through humanoids like they see everything in an X-ray. They can find bones a bit creepy, though even though their body is as dense as diamond, it still moves like a floating jellyfish in a dazzling array of stripes, colours, sizes and arrangements of their delicate tendrils. Molfs don't tend to have stingers. They have no need to eat or drink, really. I think they just do so for fun and enjoyment. The immortal jellyfish of our Earth are tiny, about the size of a pinky fingernail. The Molf range from gnome size for the infants all the way up to drifting behemoths that would rival a whale shark or a small passenger van. Giving them physical stats for Dungeons & Dragons is mostly pointless, as they're not even slightly inconvenienced by any sort of physical damage from any... they just evolved in the most extreme environments and have mastery over containment and deflection force fields. There's not much reason to attack a Molf anyway. They certainly don't attack humanoids. They know it riles them all up, which is terrible for business if they do that. Attacking or attempting to rob a Molf is a catastrophically bad idea, but hey, you do you. The point is if you manage to actually penetrate the protective force fields and release the pressure of a Molf's body, everybody in that vicinity is going to die with the explosive release of energy and gas that would result from that penetration. So you just don't kill Molf. It's mutually assured destruction. If you are enjoying this Sage's trip into Deep Imaskar, please remember this is just a work of fiction. This is not my usual researched lore topic video, and I do appreciate your feedback. I enjoy making this sort of stuff, and I enjoy posting these future video topic image polls in the channel's community tab, so look out for more of those. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening, and I'll be back with more for you very soon.